Excel file, and this is what exactly the pattern, the loop is mentioned here, which we need to actually prepare. And I think these are the kind of the things which you generally ask in your VBA interviews, right? So I'm not sure, actually she hasn't told much about this. The email was very short, but no worries. I mean, we can go ahead and we can try to prepare this kind of a loop, right? And by the way, I'm talking about this loop, guys. Let me just color this for you quickly. So this is, you see that if you look at this loop, we want to print here a text called x. Well, 1 2 3, whatever you want to do, that is a different thing, but the main, actually the important part of this loop is that it's going downward first. It's going downward, and the rows and the columns both are incrementing till the point when you have this E column. The moment you have the row number 5 or the column number 5, whatever you want to say, your row is still increasing, but the column numbers are actually reducing by 1. And this is the main catch actually in this loop. It's a good question, and I am fully agree with you when you said that though it seems simple, but you're not able to make it and you're stuck, because actually it is not even so simple, right? Because in this kind of a loop we will have to think. It's not that very easy that you need to just drag the loops in the downward direction. I'm going to give this name called exam loop, because these definitely questions are asked in your the VBA interviews, right? Okay, so first thing we want to do is I want to actually simply make the loop, and this is going to be the for next loop. We are going to use the for next loop. First of all, I'm going to write here for I equals 2. So I need to run this loop how many times? So I need to run this loop first of all 9 times, right? So I'm going to use this for I equals to 1 to 9, and definitely we have to declare here I as dim I as long. Okay, so now what is the next thing I want to do? Because row and columns both are used here, nothing is kind of which is not changing actually. Row numbers are incrementing, columns are incrementing, and then decrementing, so in that way I think we should declare 2 more variables, and I'm going to declare row as long and C as long. Okay, C stands for the column, by the way. Okay, so now the first thing which I need to do is I need to write here cells, and the row number should be 1, which would come from the I, and the column is also going to be 1, and we need to print this value x. Okay, and then we need to increment the column number by 1, right? Row number will automatically is going to increment, so I think you don't need the row number, because I is going to take care of that very easily, right? Okay, now let us first go ahead and let me be on this sheet, and let's try to see that what exactly we're going to do here. So I'm going to run this loop. Statement invalid. I'm so sorry, I should have written the dim word here. Okay, all right, now let's go ahead and let's do the things. And also the column should start with the 1, because VB is not going to accept any cell which has a column number 0, right? So there we go. Okay, now you can see here I can put the local window on. This is a very good tool. This local window I have talked about in my the series called VBA Introduction. Just go ahead and watch those first 4 videos. You would understand what I'm talking about. In case if you don't have any idea about this is a local window wherein you can see all the variables. They get visible here, and now we can actually have an eye on them, and we can see how they are actually going, how they are actually changing their values, right, using this loop. So as you can see here, now I is 1 and C is 1, so which obviously means that I'm actually on the cell having a row number 1 and the column number 1. So the X gets printed, which is perfect. Now I is going to change to 2, and C is also going to be 2. So there we go. Now we have I2 and C2. So this is the next line, which is going to be row number 2 and the column number 2. So I'm going to have X again. Perfect. So let's keep running this, and there we go. Now once you have the 5x, once you reach to the 5th row, you need to actually move in the downward direction. But this code is actually simply going to increment the row numbers and the column numbers. So you would have this kind of a basically output. I can show you. Let me just minimize it, right? So we don't need this actually. We want to stop here, and we want to, let me just delete this. Okay, yeah, so So we want to go in this direction now. Okay, so that means that the column now should move in the backward direction. So what we will do, we're going to put here if condition. I'm going to put the if condition here, and where we are going to put the if condition. So we'll write here if I equals to, if I is less than equals to 5, then we don't have any problem. Keep running this code. Okay, and the moment I reaches to 6, then what actually we want to do, we want to then start from the column number called 4. Okay, so I'm going to write here c equals to 4. The column value should change to 4, and this we are going to write in the else mode. This is very important, else. Okay, so else the column should be equals to 4, and then cells your I and c dot value should be equals to again x. Okay, and by the way, we need to write here dot value also. All right, so this is a proper syntax. Now once you have the row number which is going to be 6, in this case I'm talking about this cell, so it means that it is on the D6, which means that the 4th column and the 6th row. So row we don't have any problem because row will come from the I, and I keeps on incrementing every time, so that's fine. And the C is going to be 4, but the next time again the loop runs, you know, the column should again decrease. So what we need to do here is we need to minus 1 from it, I believe. Okay, this is what we can do, and I think so this is your macro, and to me it looks good, but let's go ahead and let us run this again. I'm just going to delete this everything. Okay, and there we go. Let's just go ahead and run this. Next, without for. All right, I talked about this and I am now forgetting, right? In my if videos I put so much focus that you always used to, you know, got to use the end if, because if you're using the if, then it has to come with the end if, right? And I just forgot. Okay, right, so now let's go ahead and let's run this, and let me give a little more indenting to this so that it is understandable. Okay, there we go. All right, so we know that I is absolutely not, I is still less than and equals to 5, because this is the first time the loop is getting started. So let me press F8 here, and this is, you can see that it is the first row and the first column because we have just started, right? So C is 1 because we have defined here that C has to be equals to 1. Okay, we got the X. Now end if, next, again next, you see that I is 2 and C is 2, the same thing which we were doing before. So we will have this value 5 times, so it is going to run very nice, and one more time it should run, and we got the value here. Now the next time when your I is actually 6, you can see in this watch window, and here also if I hover my mouse, it is going to give you the value called I equals to 6. Now 6 is obviously greater than 5, so this condition true is not going to be executed. So we will go in the else mode. Let me press F8. So now here what I'm saying, actually now start this column C as 4, right? You see that here you have the value of the column is 6 because of this, you know, the X which is on the E column. So from here it has taken this value C equals to C plus 1, but now because we are going in the downward direction, we need to move backward actually. So I'm saying that let's C be 4. So the cells begins the I, the row number 6 and the column number 4, which obviously means that it is going to be the D6, which is this cell. So I got the value here X, right? Now I'm going to reduce this by 3. Okay, now 3 means that again I'm going to be print this X in this cell, which is your C7. All right, so C7 means that actually you're on the row number 7 and the column number 3, so that is why we have used this C equals to 3. Okay, there we go. Now again you know that now I will never be actually going to fall in this true criteria, because now I will always be greater than 5, right? So it goes again in the else mode, and yes. So guys, I think there is a problem here because we have got the 3 here, but the problem is this is again going to make the C as 4, and I believe then it is going to print the X here because now you have row number 7 and column number 4. So you know this is not going to work actually. So if I run this, you see this is the kind of the pattern which I will have. Alright, so we have a problem here actually. Instead of going here, it should go here and then here. Alright, so what we can do is I can say one thing. I can again write one more if condition here, and I can say that when the first time the loop runs in the else mode, right? When the first time the loop runs in the else mode, then let's declare a variable called check. Okay, if check equals to let's say if check equals to 1, then this c value should be equals to 4, and this is how the things should work. And if the check is not equals to 1, then what I'm going to do, I'm just going to use this copy and paste. I'll just tell you actually what I'm thinking. Let's first execute this line, and of course you need to declare one more variable called check as long, and I'm going to use this check as 1. Okay, and one more thing we want to do, the next time this runs, we want to increment this value, because the second time the loop runs, I really don't want that c should be equals to 4. So I want to actually skip this then part. Okay, and that is why I'm deliberately actually incrementing its value, this value. Okay, so, and yes, I think if is also there. It looks nice. Let's just go ahead and let me put, I hope you can see the entire code. Okay, so now let's go ahead and run this code. Let me just delete everything. Basically what I'm saying is I'll just let you know. Let me first quickly run this. Next, without for, so else and if else, so we need to write the end if one more time, because we are using the two if functions, right? So one is for this, else do this, and else do this, then you got to write here else do this, and yeah, so these are the two end ifs. I think perfect. Let's start the code now. Okay, so the code has started, and let me just put it here. And in fact, let's just do one thing. Let's put everything in one line to save the space. So this is how you can do, right? Okay, so I want to further go ahead and just show you. Let me just, yeah, this is the one, and that's it. Let's go ahead and run this. Okay, there we go. So the loop started the first time, the 5 times this is going to run, and because I is going to be less than equals to 5, so we will have this else mode. You can see that, and if next, it goes in the next. Now it prints all the values very quickly. I will be a little fast here because we know what exactly it is doing. So now we got all the values. Now the I is 6. Okay, so if I is 6, then this part is not going to be executed, this complete path. It will go in this else, right? Now in this else, I'm again putting a if condition. Okay, now you see that the check is 1, because we have given this check equals to 1 here on the top of this VBA, right? Because this is going to be the first time this loop is going to be executed in this else mode, right? So else mode means that the value of I has now changed to 6, and the condition I less than equals to 5 will never now satisfy, right? It is always going to be executed now the else mode, whatever you have written in the else. So this part is now going to run. This will never be run, because I will now be going to increment, and it will never be less than equals to 5. Okay, so let's go ahead. So as you know that I have deliberately written here C is 4 because I want to move backward. So in this case, now you can see that I is 6 and 4, so that makes it D6, right? So I'm in the D6 now. In the D6 I have got here X. Okay, now I'm reducing the C again 1 because I want to go here. So now you can see that the column number is 3, which is perfect because we want to be on the C column. And now here, look at this. This is a very important point. Now the next time when I'm going to run this, before it goes in the next mode, I want to implement this check. So now the check value is going to be 2. So next time when the loop runs, when this because I is supposed to run 9 times and this is the 7th time we are running, obviously this is less than this is not less than 5, so it goes again in the else mode as I was talking. Now in this case, this is actually the important point. You see that now check is not 2, check is not 1 actually, because we had it, you know, incremented here. So what will happen, it will now not execute this c equals to 4. Okay, it will go directly in the else mode, right? And it is going to pick up now this value, which is called the 7th row and 3rd column, which means that the C7, right? So that was the actually kind of hindrance which we were getting because the c equals to 4, you know, was always keeping the x, you know, on this D column, right? Every time when we ran the loop previously. But this time this c equals to 4 did not run because we had got this check in place, right? It's a nice move. All right, so now we got it here x. Now again, obviously to go back to the previous column, you will have to again minus it, right? So that is why I've used here c equals to c minus 1. All right, so now the next value in the column C is 2, which is perfect, right? So and if now the I is going to run for the 8th time, I believe. Yeah, 8th time. So again, this is less than equals to 5 is not going to be true. So I go in the else mode, guys. And in the else mode, you know that check is not equals to 1 anymore. It is 2. So again, it goes in the else mode. And here, now we have a new cell, which is, you can see here, 8th row and 2nd column, which makes it the B8 column actually. B8, a cell, sorry, right? So we got the X, and again, I got it C less than 1. I mean, I got it decremented. So now the C is also 1. So the next time the loop will run, you will have a value called I as 9 and C as 1, right? So obviously it is going to be on the A9, and there we go, guys, right? Now I is finished because I has reached to its maximum value, which is 9, and the loop is going to finish. So yes, I can say that the code was really tricky, right? And I think because the code was so tricky, no wonder, I mean, even I took little time, you know, to think on that. So I mean, this is fantastic. So thank you so much for your question. This is really wonderful, and I'm sure people who are watching, my all subscribers, lovely subscribers out there, I think this is really fabulous. I'm really loving this code, right? Maybe you can, I mean, develop it in a different way, in a more simple way. But you know, one thing I want to tell you, it's not actually about that how simple you can make the code, right? There are some other things as well. No doubt, this is also one of the most important thing which you need to take care of. Unnecessarily don't, you know, complex the things. But I guess if you just don't look at the pattern, but just if you look at the code, then I think this gives you very awesome learning, because here we have used 2 if conditions, and then we have used it with the with the for loop, and the way we use this check variable, I think this is going to really give you a, you know, great insight to this, the VB programming. You can do actually a lot of stuff, right? So this is the end of the video, guys, and let me just give this indenting proper so that you can see the code. Yeah, that's your complete code. Pause the video and have a look and try to make this code, right? All the best to you.